the story around the Gulf War was one of my favourites. But we'd built an armoured Mercedes, stretched armoured Mercedes for, funnily enough, a guy in Kuwait at the beginning of 1990. Shipped it over there, and by the time it arrived there, he died of natural causes. So his office asked if I'd buy the car back. So we bought it back at 50 cents on the dollar. It came back on the same boat, I think, that it arrived on, and it ended up back in Bremen, in the bonded area of the factory there. So in those days, we used to advertise in the International Herald Tribune and newspaper, and there was no internet to look us up on or anything, and we just have a 3 or 4 line advert every day saying armor protected vehicles for sale, call this number. And that's how it used to work. So anyway, in August 1990, after the Iraqis had invaded Kuwait, a few weeks later, I got a phone call out of the blue from an American saying, could I tell him about the armoured stock that we might have? So I faxed him a list of the stock, etc., and on that was this particular vehicle, which he came back and said, I'd like to see it. I said, sure, it's in Bremen. I was based in London, our office was in Park Street in Mayfair, and I said, I'll meet you there. When do you want to go? He said, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Oh, okay, right. And so got my skates on over there. He turned up, and he turned up with a mechanic who had come from Frankfurt, and that sort of raised my eyebrows slightly. But anyway, you often didn't know who all these people were, and you couldn't ask directly. So they had a look at the car. Yeah, that's what we want, etc. Can we get it to Bremen Airport for 6 o'clock tonight? And I said, yeah, but you obviously got to pay for it. So it's 500,000 Deutschmarks or whatever it was. He said, don't worry. Can you talk to your bank in London and tell them that they will get a payment shortly and they are to call you immediately? And I said, yeah. I mean, I've heard all this before, and payments didn't happen that fast in those days. Anyway, I did as I was asked, and this guy was straight out of Central Casting in terms of looking like somebody in the Secret Service. Yeah, he had the aviator shades and the whole bit. So I did as I was asked, and literally an hour or two later, the phone went in Germany, and sure enough, it was the bank manager from Midland Bank in London saying, Mr. Dane, I've never had a request like this before. I've never seen a payment like this before. I said, just tell me, is the money in the bank? He said, yes, it's in the bank. I said, is it irrevocable? He said, yes, it's cleared. It's in the bank. We'd never seen anything like it. So I turned around to old mate and said, yes, it's paid for. Who are you? And he just smiled and said, get the car to the airport. So got the car there, and there was an unmarked, apart from a registration number, an American rego on the tail of the plane, an unmarked C-130 there, which we loaded the car on, and we went our separate ways. A day or two later, I got a phone call from this guy in the States saying, thank you very much, it was very well executed, etc. I said, so can you just tell me, who, what, where, and etc. And he said, no, watch the news. So I just happened to be watching the news literally 24 hours later, and there was the car in Riyadh with Norman Schwarzenkopf getting out of the back of it to go into some building in Riyadh. So it didn't take long to put two and two together, and actually it stood us in good stead, because a year later, one of the Asian royal families bought a hotel in Los Angeles, and they asked the CIA to organize 6 armoured cars to be built in Europe because they didn't want them built in America. And so they put that deal my way, which was very handy.